The Female Solution Global Radio TV Show invites you to an invigorating conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Self-Cell Care with Jody Susan. Wednesdays, Repairing Broken Families with Naima Latif and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green. And Fridays, Health and Wellbeing with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Success Strategies with Jana. Second Saturday, Wendy Williams Esquire on relationships. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. And fourth Saturday, Wisdom with Mama D. Join us Sundays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to the host and be a part of the solution. Well, Grand Rising. And we want to thank you all for joining us on this edition of the Female Solution Global Radio TV Show. And we are here to move around with Deborah as we talk about Juneteenth. This is a day that we remember that everybody didn't hear about the Emancipation Proclamation at the same time. And those in Texas didn't hear about it until June 19th, 1865, whereas it was actually issued January 1st, 1865. And many people may remember that December 31st was like the watch night. People were going to see if the president was going to actually issue it. He actually issued it 1962, but of course the war didn't end until, 1862, but the war didn't end until 1865. And so we have our travel agent, Deborah, taking us back in time and moving us forward so we can see how we are acknowledging Juneteenth today.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Check your mute. We're not hearing your sound yet.
Okay. Is that better?
There you go. That's it. All right. Now we got to figure out how to not have you have an echo. Yeah, that's it. Oh, wait a minute. No, we're still getting the echo. Okay, so let's see. Unmute yourself on StreamYard and mute your phone. See if that works. Now you got to take yourself off mute on StreamYard because we can see your beautiful face on the Female Solution
maybe I need to start doing sign
YouTube and Facebook page. So
okay, can you hear me now?
But now we can't hear you. So we're going to figure this out. and right now I'm sitting in front of the national headquarters of Rainbow Push, where we have had a tremendous opening of the annual Push convention. We've had delegations from Africa. We've had a wonderful choir from Sweden. This is definitely a global movement for peace and unity and justice. There was a time when America was not the place of justice, and America itself, someone pointed out today, without Black people, there would be no America. And We even got a new rendition of the national anthem. If you need to hear it, go to rainbowpush.org. We got to get that brother. He's got some new words to that song,
Oh, okay.
so we need to start singing that new version of the national anthem.
Can you hear me now?
So now, let me see.
Can you hear me?
Okay, so now I think it's me. So I think what it is, I'm gonna have to use the microphone and internal microphone. Now we can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yes, I hear you now. Sound
I
like
figured it out. Now I won't remember next time. Oh, thank you. Thank you so very much for being there. Oh, that is a wonderful song. Is it in publication yet? Do you think we could like maybe pull it up on the internet?
what is that?
The
The
new
song.
rendition. Uh,
You know what? I'm going to see if I can do that. If I can, I'm going to play it before this before the show. I don't know. I don't know because I know it's probably on their YouTube channel. So I'm not sure if I'll be
okay.
able to pull it up this show, but we'll before this week is out, we'll figure out how
And,
we can.
and you know I am not a technical person at all.
And I want to make sure I give credit where credit's due. I'll research and find out the name of the person who created the lyrics and everything, because I
Yeah,
think we
maybe
should
you could
know.
grab him as he goes by and have him come over and do a solo.
Yeah, that would be great if I definitely if I happen to grab him, because he spoke about justice and equality, and I mean he wove it all into the lyrics of the song, and it really does point to the real history of America. You know, the other song, oh say can you see, that's kind of a war song actually, because it's talking about
Yeah,
bombs.
right.
And and then there are many who didn't want to sing that song because at the time of the American Revolution, African people were still enslaved, even though they were fighting in the American Revolution. And
So
so
what
people been
does
feeling
anthem?
betrayed.
Well, they say that's the national anthem back then at that time, and we all know that things change as we go forward. But what does anthem actually mean? What's
Well, now that's a
what's
good
the
question.
understanding?
What is it? What is an anthem? An anthem, I guess, is almost like a slogan. It's what represents you. So you have your song that symbolizes what the nation stands for
At that time?
at that time.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was celebrating war with Great Britain, uh, a war that was supposed to liberate the colonies from control and not be a part of the British Empire anymore, but their own independent country. That was the mindset. You know, we're starting a whole new country based on freedom of religion, because a lot of people came that had been persecuted because of their religion. Uh, Representative government instead of being a monarchy ruled over by a king. So there was, all these great new ideas
Mhm.
that this country was supposed to represent.
So
However,
you know things change, times change. I mean,
change.
look at the edifice that you're standing in front of, the historical building that you're standing in front of now, Operation Push in Chicago. And that was once a building for something else. It wasn't built upon that. And look at what's going on with DuSable Museum, one of the most historic museums, African American culture and history. And they're changing the name this weekend. How about that? It will
Wow.
no longer be known as the Sabo. It'll be formally known as the Sabo Museum. So I'm eager to see what that change will entail. And these are some things that life is changing. Even though we remember Juneteenth and the historical stance of that, and then some folks don't even think of it as a pleasure or a success story. Some folks just think of the continuance on the foothold that is held on to ourselves over the years, you know. So, how do you celebrate Juneteenth? And that's a question that I want to ask everyone who is in earshot of us, and even those who listen to the rebroadcast. And if you are in earshot of us, please give us a call at 1-515-605-9325 and press 1 to join into the conversation, because we want to know, you hear our opinions, and my opinions and Naima's opinion may be different in how we're celebrating Juneteenth and how we acknowledge Juneteenth, and are we still living to try to get some kind of, what they say, reparations for the distortion of life that we were challenged with back then. There is still a foothold on us. We are still enslaved to a degree. It's a different type of enslavement. I would hope nobody is still being shackled and manipulated to the degree that they were back then. But we are still enslaved, and in some points, we are enslaving ourselves. So, how do you remember the message of Juneteenth, what it is portraying, and how do we go forward? How do we be purposeful in getting better in our lives? What was it last year? President Biden signed it into a federal law. It was the first federal holiday, rather, law holiday that we've had since what was it back when in '85, when they notated that Martin Luther King's birthday was a national holiday. How do
Yeah.
we celebrate those days? How are we purposeful? Are we just utilizing it for the day off? A paid holiday for some people, or what are we doing? How are we recognizing this holiday, this Juneteenth? And do you even know where Galveston, Texas is? And actually, we gravitate to Galveston because Galveston was the big city that was notated, but this actually happened in a town, and I can't remember the town's name, but it was just east of Galveston, but
Yeah.
because Galveston was the big city at that time down there. Do you know what's going on in Galveston today? Have you visited Galveston? I plan to visit Galveston this year, hopefully.
Yeah.
Not for the Juneteenth celebration, but because of cruising.
But I can't blame you for that.
Right, they're opening up a new cruise port in Galveston. And we've had a family reunion. We're going to talk about family reunions a little later. That would be a reunion of sorts. People coming together celebrating a milestone. Juneteenth is considered a milestone
Absolutely.
because it was something that was designated for an event, a very popular and important event. Uh, but again, some of the folks who were given the opportunity of being free then, they had nowhere to go. They had no, they didn't know what to do. Oh, we're free. Okay, now what?
Well, that's the thing. Uh, where are you going to go when you don't have you don't have money?
You don't
Uh,
have ideas.
you don't you have not been able to read because the education was definitely restricted or denied. So, what knowledge do you have on even where anything is where you would travel, other than what you might hear? And of course, your contact with people outside is very restricted. So, this it's a created state of helplessness, and you almost have to teach yourself everything you need to know as an adult because you've been kept a child. So now we've got a delegation from Africa that's here, and we might get an opportunity to speak to some of them. I would like to know,
Oh, great. That'll be
particularly,
exciting. And
I,
again, we have several people online. Please press one if you'd like to join in the conversation, or if you have an answer to any of the questions that we posed to you. So are you gonna be able to grab somebody?
well, it just so happens that they're doing it now for a documentary, and we're gonna grab them as soon as they're done with that. And
Okay.
I'd really like to find out what African children learn about what happened here in America. And the tragedy is they learn a different story about what our experience has been. I've spoken with a number of Africans, and they really didn't know what was happening here until we began to travel and return and then explain what we were going through. So uh,
Yes. Isn't that amazing?
yes,
We all learn differently, and we are more visual people, I think. A lot of us learn visually, so we need to get in tune. Do people still know that Operation Push is has an event every Saturday still at 10 o'clock? They are
yes,
still in session every Saturday in Chicago.
and not only that, of course, they've got satellites around the country. They do a Wall Street event every year, and they
Well, my
got a
stance
Silicon
is
Valley event that they do. So they've been focusing on technology. They've been focusing on a number of global issues. And so this whole movement has really moved beyond the rights of black people into a human rights struggle. And one of the things that we have observed is how the impact of young people has really moved things forward, because young people, they're growing up with the new technology, the internet, which connects us all around the world. And there's a different mindset that they have. They have not been conditioned to see limitations the way we have. They fly all over the world, they talk to people all over the world. So what took a long time for us to just make a national movement in terms of liberation and justice and equality, it only takes seconds, because they can mobilize in an instant. Uh, Social media, they're able to organize. Uh, I've seen a number of global protest marches, and you think, how did they organize that fast? Well, years ago, we would not have been able to get the word to so many people in so many different places the way it's happening now. So it's almost as if when we have a thought, it is instantly transmitted. And so as we think more in terms of a world where there is no discrimination, there is no violence, there is no impoverization, we can see that can happen a lot faster, because new thought is traveling faster. And that really make us all feel hopeful. I mean, you look look at 300 years of slavery, 300 plus years, it took a long time to spread a thought that we can break out of this. You know, this isn't a forever situation. We can actually change people's minds. And you had books like Uncle Tom's Cabin, Harriet Beecher Stowe, and other works, other creative works. You know, Phyllis Wheatley with her poetry, and you just had, you know, Frederick Douglass with his oratory, Sojourner Truth with her oratory, and then Harriet Tubman with her actually physically taking people away. So the movement took a while because you had to change people's minds. It took a long time. Once a couple of generations of enslavement had passed, for people who had originally been taken from Africa, were told, well, you know, y'all have always been slaves. This is what God said. Well, you know, if you have a couple of generations of people who haven't been raised by parents who could tell them any different, then they just grow up believing that's the truth. And then you believe you can't ever get out of this because it's always been this way. You've always been slaves. You know, you've always served white people. That's what God said you're supposed to do in the Bible. But we believed that for a good couple of centuries, and it took a while to get out of that mindset. So, you know, a lot of people, like you were saying, you know, when they're told, well, you're free to go, it's like, go where? You know, we don't
Right.
how are we going someplace? We don't know where we are. We don't know where to go. So it was really a process of undoing that learned helplessness, where you are believing that you don't have the power to change an oppressive government or an oppressive monetary system or an incorrect school system, just believing you don't have the power to change things. It took a few generations for us to undo that. And you had people like Booker T. Washington that was very instrumental in changing minds. You know, Mary McLeod Bethune, you know, opening up colleges, because the whole thing was changing your mind, making you see yourself differently than an enslaved person who didn't have the skills to take care of themselves. And
Yes.
so
And I think some folks are still stuck.
some are
Some
still,
some are still stuck. They don't know how to get past where they are.
yes. And
Yeah. They but of course, coming to the female solution every day, we give you a platform and a
absolutely,
to
absolutely.
be able to navigate this culture. I enjoyed the show yesterday with Beata and how the gentleman was talking about the cosmic energy. We have to decide, okay, this is not a foothold on us anymore.
Right,
We have to take that in our hands
right.
and move forward. Stop. And that's sometimes folks who don't want to talk about Juneteenth and the situation that we were going through back then. They don't want to hold on to that. But I say we need to know so we not to slip back into that situation. Because if we don't know about it, and if it will rear its evil head up again, and that it will, we will be stuck in another slot of injustice. You know, we have so much injustice going on right now today. Look at what's going on in the political scene. Uh, Everywhere across the country, not only in Chicago. And you have to pay attention. You know, a lot of folks say, I don't vote, my vote don't count. Well, if you don't vote, your vote won't count because you won't have a vote. But you darn well better know if you're living in this universe on this side of the spectrum, you about better pay attention to what's going on because
Absolutely.
it will your freedoms and your liberties that you have right now will be snatched in a moment.
Yes, that's the thing. When
Yeah.
you have a government where you can elect the representatives every 4 years, get a new set of people every 4 years, even though they have it staggered. Okay, some people you elect this season, some you elect the other season, but still, you're changing people all the time, and
Yeah.
you can get a wave of people who, and that's what a lot of the fear is. You're going to get a wave of people who want to turn the clock back and establish an extreme, oppressive, controlling kind of government that misuses people and discriminates against people and creates a permanent underclass of people that are nearly enslaved because
Yes.
they can barely survive unless they're working, 24 hours, 7 days a week. And to create that kind of a system, if you have people who have that intention to create a wealthy class that controls everything, and if you get enough of those people who are elected to office and then suddenly they start making laws, sounds of Chicago. They start
Yeah, that's
laws
typical.
and
The sounds of the city.
sounds of the city. But that's part of what we're faced with every year.
You know, I hmm,
Oh wait a minute, we can echo again.
yeah, some body saying that they can't hear us on the switchboard.
Okay.
So
Let me see.
I didn't know. Hmm.
All right, let me
Well,
figure this out. Hold on. Let me see. Let me make sure my mic. I don't know. My mic might not be open because you called into the host line, right?
yes, I did. Mhm.
I may need to make sure my mic is open, but I don't want to create a. I don't want to create an echo.
Right. Now my switchboard mic is on mute, but my phone mic is open.
Okay. All right. Well, let me see here. Oh. This. Well, it's actually time to take a break.
Yes, it
Uh,
is.
so
So let me prepare for that.
yeah, we gotta make sure we. Oh, we got 3 Willie Wilson commercials. We gotta make sure we
I have them. I found them,
right.
and,
Yeah.
and
So
I
one of
will
those each
start
break.
playing
Speaking
it
of
right
elected,
now.
and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Taxes are higher than ever. Every day, thousands of our residents leave Chicago to shop anywhere else. Jobs are being lost, and businesses are relocating. Let's find a way to lower our taxes to encourage residents to continue living and shopping. Let's rebuild. Let's restore Chicago. Vote for me, for mayor of the city of Chicago, and I will work hard to find a solution to this matter. I'm Dr. Wilson, and I approve this message. Paid for by Willie Wilson for mayor. Our kids are the future and should not be left behind. One person should not decide what is the best for our 77 communities. Politicians
Well,
must
after
work
that, play
together
Mama
for our
D's
shared message.
commercial,
They
and
deserve
then
a
that'll
safe
give me some time
education
to
with
figure this
resources
out.
that meet every student's needs. Let's rebuild and restore Chicago.
We'll play
Vote
the
for
other
me
Willie
for
Wilson
mayor
at the
of
next
Chicago.
break.
I'm Dr. Willie Wilson, and I approve this message. Paid for by Willie Wilson for mayor.
So you can hear the commercials. That's good.
Yes, yes.
Hallelujah comes in the spirit of Lego. And yes, love. Lego. CR1. Yah is the keep sacred name for God. I'm Angel Mother again, and I'm inviting you to join me every Thursday. Number 5 farewell to all of the that begin your bring forth life from your birth to the a kid is an animal being with 4 legs, a child is a human being person with 2 legs. Beyond 70,000 old, that's the wisdom of the back. I share your wisdom and love coexistence. Remember, mother's farewell. Don't be a child without and if it doesn't, society will female, you are ferocious and
No, it's a National Rainbow Push Coalition headquarters.
oh, okay.
All right. And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. We need to get a sound check. The person who texted you, they can let you know if we can hear now. I think.
Well,
Hopefully, I
let's
corrected
see.
that problem.
We have someone who would like to speak.
All right.
So
Open their mind. Open mind, which is the
oh, that's you.
yeah, right. I think that would solve the problem of them being able to hear. But that's why I need to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was just, I had a stance, a document that I had created for Juneteenth, and it kind of goes over what we just said, but to put it all in perspective, because I want to go and shift into something else as we celebrate. So Juneteenth is typically June 19th, and each year Juneteenth or June 19th, which is actually tomorrow, is June 19th.
Yeah.
It commemorates the end of slavery in the United States. Yeah, right. The celebration takes place each year, June 19th, recognizing an event that took place in Texas in 1865. The story of Juneteenth begins in Texas when Major General Jordan Granger arrived in Galveston with the news. He had a team with him, and he arrived in Galveston with the news. And I think it was uh, m- most of the folks were in a church because, from what I understand, they just put the notice on the church door. So
Mm.
when the folks exited the church, they read the notice or the announcement. It was reading General Orders number 3. And that's when the people of Galveston learned for the first time the Civil War was over after more than a century of slavery and years of that war. It was official. All slaves were now freed men.
Mm.
Now, the 19th of June wasn't exactly the day the Negro was freed, but that's the day they told them that they were free. And the particular person who put this document together said that his daddy told him they hooped and hollered and bore holes in trees with augers and stopped it up with gunpowder and lit it. I guess that's what was their fireworks for those
Yeah.
celebrations.
Yeah. That was
And
the old fashioned fireworks.
yeah, so they tore up the trees then too, huh? So news traveled slowly across the United States, even
Yeah.
stubbornly. because
After
a
the
lot of folks didn't want the
yeah.
word to be put out. Because if the word was put out, that means the owners, the plantation owners or the slave owners, feared that work was not going to be accomplished.
Okay.
They feared that there was going to be a mass exodus of their workers to go other places, and some of them did leave. But some folks didn't have anywhere to go. They didn't know where to go. So I looked at a movie the other day, and it was about, I can't think of the movie, but it was about horse races. This fellow who was a jockey, and he went to work for a guy, and the guy told him he was going to get paid $10. I think it was $10 a week, and his rent, his room and board was $11. His meals was $3, and so forth and so on. So the guy said, "Well, how am I going to make any money?" He said, "You're going to win." So
Mm,
they wanted to keep that thumb down, and once they became freed, and the folks who wanted to stay didn't have anywhere to go, now they've got to pay rent for where they were living at no cost, and
mm.
they still have to do the same work, and it was just a mushmash of situations back then. Now some, they, like I say, some folks picked up they gauntlet, they bags, and they shot tail out. That they did the max exodus to the north,
Yeah.
because they heard the north is where it was, you know. And then those who were able to get by, because of course, they were still chopping folks up and hanging folks along the way. That they said, "Oh, you were not free. You were an escaped slave, and you know you still are a criminal. And I'm gonna hang you. I'm gonna take your family. I'm gonna separate you." It was just a mishmash, and in some cases that still goes on today in some situations. But the emancipation timeline was January 1st, 1863. The Emancipation Proclamation was signed. In April 9th, General of 1865, General Robert E. Lee surrendered to General Ulysses, uh, which signified the end of the Civil War. In April, a few days later, John Wilkes Booth assassinated President Abraham Lincoln, who had signed the Emancipation Proclamation. So, May 12th, 1865, the final battle of the Civil War, which was even a month after General Lee, who was supposed to be the top guy, surrendered. May 26th, 1865, the Civil War officially ends when General Simon Bolivar Buckner of the Army of Trans Mississippi enters terms of surrender. So a lot of folks, what do we learn in school? General Robert E. Lee surrendered to Ulysses Grant in April, and that was the end of the war.
But it was
Wrong.
still going on.
It,
Still,
it
still,
is still trying to go on.
wow. So
so
some people
so
down south still don't know the war is over.
right. They still stuck back because they don't know
Some of them
how to get further. It's
still
like
fight a
they're
Confederate
trained not
flag
to
and
go
over for a
past
cause.
here. You're not giving them a freedom. You don't. What is it? That glass ceiling? It is still, it's glass, and you can see beyond it, but it's still a ceiling. And they don't, people don't think you can go beyond it, but you can. But if you're not provided the tools, that's what Juneteenth should be about, being provided the tools. What are you doing to celebrate Juneteenth? How are you being purposeful for going further. And this is what I want to press on the minds and the hearts of folks. Let's move past where we are and what we're doing. Yeah, today we were stuck. Today is history. Right now is history. But tomorrow is the future. You don't have to stay stuck in your history. You have to be knowledgeable of your history, but you
Yeah.
don't have to be stuck there. So don't throw your history away.
Yes. Yeah, I think that what we're taught in school is a lot of propaganda. You know, the whole idea is to make it North good, South bad. Um, the Lincoln freed the slaves, and you know, and it's funny today. Somebody said even on the push broadcast, the way we're taught about slavery, way where we're taught our history is we came from Africa, uh, enslaved, and then we had President Lincoln freed the slaves, and then we had Martin Luther King Jr. And after that, we got Obama. So everything's all right now. You know, I mean, just
And
that.
and for those folks who squash each one of those, to find fault with each one of those persons that you just mentioned, you have to stop looking at the fault and look at the positive. And where is your fault? You don't want anybody to look at your fault. You don't want to look at your fault. But you have to push past the fault in order to do better in the future. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's what we got to get some amen. And when we celebrate not only Juneteenth, but it's so many other celebrations that we encompass in our lives. We've got the family reunions. We've got the class reunion, the girlfriend reunion, the military reunions. They're celebrated every year, every other year, every 5 years. How are you being purposeful in these celebrations? The 4th of July is coming up. What are you doing? Are you just taking a day off? Are
See,
you shooting off the fireworks that's scaring people? What about the people who've gone to war? You're not thinking about these fireworks and who's making the money with these fireworks.
yes, absolutely.
It's good, it's entertainment, but you don't have food. Gas is $1,000 a gallon, and you gonna burn up. And I've heard it already. You burning up $100, $1,000 in fireworks
How
for the
insane is
sound.
and think about what fireworks represents, the sound of gunshots. How was that fun? Recalling gunshots. You know, I know so many people who have been to war, and the Fourth of July is like a nightmare for them because
It's
it's
petrifying.
calling all of those traumatizing experiences of seeing your friends shot, being maybe shot at yourself, being shot yourself, and so even the celebration and using things that simulate bombs bursting in air and simulate gunshots. I will be so glad when we finally get to a point of higher consciousness where we're not doing that anymore. And there will be a point where we don't do that anymore because we don't want to
Right,
remind
right.
people of violence. But
Become be more aware. We have to let folks know that
yeah,
it's a traumatizing to people.
yeah.
It's traumatizing to dog. Now, what are
Now you
they
got
selling?
pets,
The
yeah.
comfort,
They run and hide. They hate it. So that should tell us
right?
something.
I like the visual, but I don't want to hear the sound
Right?
and the smell.
Right. And even the visual, yeah, it's pretty, but how much pollution are we casting into the air? You know, and how's that affecting the birds who have to fly through all that garbage? So, you know, I always wonder where do birds go during the 4th of July, and we've got all these explosions happening in the air. Have any of them ever been hurt? You know, and I know people think, it's just you know, the celebration. Don't be so, you know,
But they
hard.
don't think about it.
They don't
People
think
don't
about
think
it.
about it.
We have to.
Some people don't care.
Yeah.
When they hear about it, some people still won't care. But some people, we have to put that on their conscious mind.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. We
never
have to
thought
think
about
about
that.
who else is being affected by what we do for fun, and is it fun for other people? And I think there are enough war veterans that are explaining that this is very traumatizing, that eventually, instead of us saying, oh, you know, they'll get over it, eventually we'll say, you know, this really is an awful thing to be recalling, the sound of gunshots, especially because we have real issues with gunfire and we've had mass shootings and all of that. So do we really want to recreate that memory? Now we got a whole nother group of people who have been traumatized by gunfire.
Right.
You know, all the people who have lost people in these mass shootings. They don't want to hear that on the 4th of July.
They don't
So
want to hear it. They're
yeah,
ducking and hiding.
yeah.
You know, they're
Can you
ducking
imagine
and hiding.
children?
But I didn't know. I love fireworks before I was made aware.
But it's about awareness. You know, everything is, are you aware of what this represents? Are you aware of the history of it? Are you aware of why we're doing these things? Is this something we should still be doing?
Right.
And, you know, when I
Right.
think of some of the recent tragedies and probably how children are affected by this, I think it's going to raise our awareness even more, because you're going to have children saying, Mommy, I don't want to go to the fireworks this year. I don't want to
Right.
see. My friend got shot, you know, in Sandy Hook, or, you know, and Uvalde, or, you know, my
Or
grandmother,
down the street.
or down the street. You know, I mean, all of these real life situations that make us realize what fireworks actually is simulating. This will make us aware that this is not something to use in a celebratory manner. Death and killing, you know, that's not
Right.
something we want to throw a party around. So we're going to learn how to do things that represent peace. You know, if we're celebrating the birth of a nation that's supposed to mean freedom and liberation from tyranny and all of that, we can think of a better way to celebrate it than gunfire. And I think if we
Well, look at
think
what
of,
we did. I just read they used to put the gunpowder in the trees and blow up the trees. We don't do that anymore.
yeah, thank God we don't do that anymore, because that's destructive, you know. But there are,
Right. So hopefully, we'll evolve from what we're doing now.
I mean, you know, there are a lot of things. You can have parades. You know, those are peaceful. You know, parades with nice music. You can have concerts. You can have, you know, games. I mean, there's a lot of different things we can do to celebrate the beginning of a nation that ultimately was striving to stand for freedom and justice and equality. I mean, we're still working on that, but we can come up with better ways to celebrate the idea. And as we come up with better ways to celebrate the idea, we'll actually manifest the idea. So I see, looks like an Omega Sci-Fi man.
I better be, man.
Well, all right now. My name is
What do you
Naima, and
say?
you know what? Tomorrow is Father's Day. You're a father, right?
Hey, man, you are meeting me for the first time. We've talked
Yes, we have.
on numerous occasions.
Yes.
You know my name?
I'm sure you're gonna remind me, and then
Jerry Hunter.
Jerry Hunter. I know that name. I got your business card. Yes. Well, Jerry
Team
Hunter.
Genius Marketing.
Oh, well, Jerry Hunter.
Leslie, Jean Baptiste.
We're sitting
We're
here.
family.
We are family.
Are
Absolutely.
you on the radio?
Yes, and I would like you to say a few words.
Where you want me to
On
say?
air everywhere.
On air everywhere.
On
Yes.
air everywhere.
Yes.
Well, this is my medium. Hello there.
Yes.
Deborah.
Hi there. Hi
Welcome.
there. Oh, man.
Look at you.
Scooch in a little bit.
Mega man. Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Hello there.
Yes, 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 yes.
So, of course, we're sitting in front of the symbol of fighting for justice here at the Rainbow Push National Headquarters, and talking about the fact that this is Juneteenth, and celebrating our liberation eventually from enslavement. And there are a lot of things that, and I know the Omega Sci-Fi organization is very well connected and very much involved
Since 1911.
since 1911.
Oh yeah, we've been around for a little while.
Now this is a question that I have, because I read a book, and I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it was making some analogies of some of the steps that are actually a mirror of some of the African dances. And I saw a performance of, I think, a South African troupe, and they were doing this step, and I was in college at the time. I said, oh, that looked like an Omega Sci-Fi step, because you all have high steps and the whole, really strong movements. Can you tell me historically how the Black Greeks evolved and how it happened? Like, I mean, 1911, that's not too far out of slavery. That's just a couple of generations. And we're on college and we're forming organizations. So what was that like?
Well, the steps are important, but the most important about Omega Psi is manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift, because that's the creed we live by. Throughout history since 1911, you'll find that there have been many great men you had no idea were members of Omega Psi fraternity.
Okay.
Wow.
So, if you look at your heroes, even my Omega brother, Reverend Jesse Jackson, you're here sitting in front of an influence of a brother of Omega Psi throughout history. But I don't want to take all your time. I'm just getting here. This is my home. My godmother was Lucille Loman.
Oh my!
Who was Reverend Jackson's executive secretary and one of the founders of Rainbow Push for 50 years. Okay, so we were church members.
Oh, wow.
I was raised in Fellowship Baptist Church, where Reverend Evans tutored Reverend Jackson and helped him get to where he is. So we're about mentoring. Right now, that's what Omega Sci-Fi is about. Okay, we are not ordinary men. We are extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
We have children out there. All the Divine Nine organizations are dedicated to service. A lot of people kind of get wrapped up in what happens at the undergrad level. If there's some brothers over here and we do step, and that's showmanship. Okay.
Do you know the history of how that started?
The history of how it started in Africa.
Yeah, well, there you go. I guess. Yeah, there it is.
That's it.
Wait, do I need to step back and see what I have on?
Uh-oh.
Wait a minute. Can you give me? You need to get all of me now.
Yeah, here we
Yeah,
go.
let's get all of you.
So you can.
Here we go.
Wait a minute. Do I need to stand over there? Because you can't the whole. Wait a minute.
There you go.
Okay.
Yes.
That's it.
But that's interesting, though, that
Extraordinary.
That African traditions still existed and still came through when we created these college organizations, and we still saw some of the same traditional steps from Africa, even though we hadn't been to the continent for a couple of centuries.
Well, that's kind of old way of thinking about it, because I have a direct connection to Ghana.
Ooh,
In fact, this dashiki, I'm the U.S. ambassador for Custom Looks GH.
Wow.
That's customlooksgh.com. Okay. I have an Omega brother who has a clothing manufacturing plant in Ghana, and he manufactures all types of clothing, but this is one of his lines that we talked about, and I became his ambassador. I market these type of special custom-made dashikis for fraternities, sororities, HBCU organizations, basically any organization, because we customize 100%. So if you belong to Jack and Jill, if you belong to the Urban League, whatever, if you belong to the sewing bee club. Hey, we'll put that on a dashiki too.
Wow.
But no, that's what we, that's I'm about. I used to be in marketing, sales, and all that, but one of my brothers said, "Listen, you've done too much sales. You know too much. You need to be an entrepreneur."
Wow.
That's the only way we're going to, keep the dollars in the same community. And
Yes.
it bothers me that every year we have to tell people to buy black. That kind of pisses me off.
That should be
Don't
a habit.
you know that by now? James Brown say a lot of black, and I.
Yes, we should be doing it automatically.
Economics is if money talks and that other stuff walks. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. That's
Peace
right.
out from the A Solo Smooth Jazz Q.
And tell us that website again where they can
custom with a K.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Custom with
looks,
a K.
Custom with a K. Custom looks GH.com.
What does the GH stand for?
Ghana.
Oh, okay. Custom
looks GH. Gotcha.
I'm the U.S. ambassador. My name is Jerry Hunter.
Jerry Hunter.
Hey, you can look me up on Facebook.
All right.
I'm also the Chicago marketing director for the National Black Radio Hall of Fame.
All righty.
Hey,
there are no accidents.
Oh, you are. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so very much.
We'll
talk soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. See who just
yeah.
happens by.
Well, we got to take another break, and hey. Oh wow, we got some great people that have pulled up. I think they got and they are. Oh wow.
Are they coming by now?
But we're going to see if we can pull them in after the break. ECCSC, which stands for, wait a minute, I should know it. It is ex-cons for community and social change.
Yes. And that's
work. And if I could get them to do a spot, then that would be fantastic.
That would be fantastic. Let me go quickly to this
let's run a commercial real quick, and while we're running commercial, I'll see if I can I can grab them. Go right ahead.
Okay.
All right. Oops.
Crime in Chicago continues to increase. Community and politicians must come together to make a change.
Gentlemen, how you doing? Wonderful. How long y'all gonna be in? I would love to have you come and talk on our radio broadcast, Dr. Boy, but how long are you gonna be inside? 1 more hour. All right. Oops, I'm unraveling here.
Hey, it's time to take charge of your health. I'm Beata, your holistic life coach, and every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I'm here on the Female Solution to empower you to make choices that will assist your evolution to abundant health. I'm also blogging every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at Soul Surface Healing, where I bring you a spiritual chiropractic adjustment to bring you back into alignment with our Creator's love, compassion, and wisdom. Join me every Friday morning at 8 a.m. and Sunday evening at 8 p.m. for a time of unity, enlightenment, and love vibration. Shalom. Not alone. Join us for thought-provoking, stimulating, and mindful conversations on higher learning Delta Beach for your Monday morning mindfulness session on Blog Talk Radio, the Female Solution. Monday, 7:30 until 9 a.m. Be sure to send your ideas, thoughts, comments, and suggestions. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit ZeldaSpeaks.com and send us your info. We'd love to have you. Experience mindfulness moments with the mindfulness slash stress release coach, Zelda Speaks. And thanks for sharing the mindfulness moments tip of the day. Stay on purpose, stay empowered. Stay tuned to your next session of mindfulness on higher learning with Zelda Speaks. We'll make it a mindful day. And thanks for listening.
All right. All right. We're back.
Yes, yes. Wow. So we got some exciting things coming up. So
Yes.
before, did they say about how long they'll be?
A little while, but I told me that we'd be out here for another hour. So hopefully, by the time the next break, they'll be back. Yeah, this organization is called Ex-Cons for Community and Social Change, and they have been working to get the uh, those who have served time, those who've been incarcerated, uh, back on their feet, reoriented into society, able to be economically self-sufficient. And it's very significant that they're out here. We know that the way the 14th Amendment is structured, it really was designed to preserve slavery, because the little clause that
Yeah,
says that you, no one shall be held as a servant unless they're duly convicted of a crime.
crime.
So,
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, right after emancipation, and people would be trying to figure out where they're going to go, what they're going to do, they could get arrested for loitering and vagrancy, which basically means you don't have anywhere to go, so you're committing a crime, so we can arrest you and put you back in jail. And then next thing you know, you are serving chain and, you know, building railroads and everything else, uh, for no money. In other words, you're back in slavery.
Right.
And
But the, the
this,
the the laws are different for each state. Some states, you can't even vote if you've been
yeah, if
convicted.
you've been convicted, you can't even vote. And that was the way to keep people from gaining political power. There's still some states where if you've done time, you can't vote. And so that means that if they arrest enough people that they don't want to vote, then they can make sure those people don't have any impact on who gets elected. I mean, it's all a very deliberate strategy. And I think that has to be a part of our education, even though it's unpleasant. But if we can, without being angry at any particular group, if we can just explain what happened, that people had an economic agenda. They wanted to be able to gain wealth without having to pay your workers. And they were able to do that. But in order to make people work for free, well, you have to take them from some place where they're at and then put them someplace where they don't know how to get away. And
Right.
then basically, you threaten to kill them if they try to leave.
And, and,
And
and do so. And kill. And
yes,
beat.
yeah,
And
so the
suppress.
torture
And
here,
enslave.
yeah,
To the degree where now, they talk about mulatto children and whatnot. Look at how they infuse that type of slavery in
yeah,
on people, and it was just, it's so hypocritical. And
yeah,
even though the United States affords us so many opportunities as opposed to other countries in this on this earth, we are still so gangster.
yeah, yeah. I
It's
mean, there
still
are troops in countries we don't even know that we got troops that are in these countries that are you know, basically
taking
take
over
the
because there's
thing.
something that we want or we
Right,
need.
right. The
And
those who
just take
use of the
it
resources.
because
Yeah,
you look at how they moved across this country and just took land.
yeah, yeah.
How can you sell something that how did you
Belong to
obtain it?
somebody else.
It wasn't
That,
yours to have in the first place, and then you're gonna resell it.
right.
That's like me going past your house on your property and not even intruding in on your house, but taking your flowers out of your yard and going to the corner and selling them.
Yeah, like
That's
this is my. Oh, you got it on my. Yeah, right.
right.
So
Because I need your land, or
yeah,
I gotta build the railroad coming through your land, so I'm just gonna take your land because it's for the good. Or even still to this day, people rave so much because they own their home and don't own the land that the property is sitting on. And if the government wants that land that your property is sitting on, they can force you out.
yeah. Now how is that? How is
And
that right?
you have no
So
recourse.
yeah,
Who
I've
you
known
gonna tell?
right, and that's that's the biggest challenge that we have when it comes to how do we make things right when there's a massive wrong. Who do we tell? Now we've talked about well we'll tell the United Nations on these people. Well, okay, actually they're the same kind of people. Um, we're looking for
Or we'll tell
some
the
great
Supreme Court.
protector, you know. So we'll go to the Supreme Court, yeah, in the country we'll go to the Supreme Court. But then, depending on who's on the Supreme Court, you know, they might uphold the injustice, and we've had years of that, you know. So everything
Yeah.
depends on who's in a position of leadership or responsibility or authority, and what kind of mindset they have. Are they trying to do right by everybody, or are they trying to keep the system as it is, where a few wealthy benefit and everybody else is living basically in a state of terror because they can't trust those that are in government to protect their well-being.
Right.
And
Because they don't have the government doesn't have your well-being at hand,
right, they because it was
unless it's to benefit them.
yeah. I mean that's the
So
mind.
here's where we go into, and I wanted to touch on reunions and specifically family reunions, because family reunions have been notated as okay, we're getting it together, we have a cookout, we have a dinner, we sit around and we fellowship with each other. But how are we being purposeful? How are we, first off, where are we traveling to? And do you have a team to put stuff together for your reunion? Are you doing it alone? Or do you have someone to talk about the history, your family history and your heritage, your genealogy? Who's keeping records?
And things like family property. You know, a lot of people still have family property down south or in other states where they migrated to. Do you have a plan for the descendants so they can inherit that property? They can maybe take what you have acquired and build on it. Is there an economic plan for the family?
Right.
When you have family reunions, you know, at some point, I mean, parties are good, but at some point there needs to be a business meeting.
It needs to be purposeful. It
Yeah,
needs to be purposeful, and you have to get that team together so
yeah,
you can start that conversation. And everybody's not going to be on the team, the organizing team. Everybody's mindset isn't there, but you have to have this conversation. What about health? There's so many people who are ill and just just not. Some of it is generational illness. Some of it can be corrected. Some of it you need to pay attention to. So when you see it, you can say, okay, let's attack that particular illness this way. You have, like you say, the legal ramifications of property is so much property in the South that, or not even in the South. We have people who work their tails off and bought property right here in this city, and
And they
it's
lose it.
being lost because someone's not paying the taxes because somebody passed on and the family didn't know that they had this property, even the savings bonds and whatnot. Things that are in, um, what are those, safe deposit boxes?
Yes, safe deposit
Something
box.
as small as that.
Yeah.
We have to stop having a closed fist and not allowing people in our business. Now, I understand that people are not in our business
Yeah, we're
for a
doing
reason
it for the industry.
because, folks be stealing. But we have to we can't take it with us. So if you passed on, where is your will? Do you have your will together? Do
With the
you have
African delegation. Yeah, with the
your narrative, your
oh,
medical
it's in
narrative
a few
together?
words about Attorney Boyd. I'm sorry.
These are some of the things that are so important for the family to move on past if you pass on. So as you travel across the country going to visit, take those briefcases with you so you can get those documents signed. Have a
Document.
will
That's
signing.
that's an important thing to deal with when you're having a family reunion. Where are the important family documents? Things like deeds and wills and birth certificates and all of those things. One of the things that was challenging, uh, particularly that first generation coming out of slavery, there were no birth certificates. You might have some kind of notation, and this is something that I guess Alex Haley talked about when he was doing the
Well,
the the research for roots
the genealogy and
genealogies. It wasn't birth certificates and listed with the family births. It was uh, listed with the family property and purchases that were made. So 5 cows, 3 chickens, two Negroes, that kind of stuff. So when we made the shift to independence and personhood,
yeah,
then we
after
had to
June
get
19th.
after June 19th, then we had to start getting things like documents, marriage certificates. And this is why a lot of family reunions, especially, a lot of people got into family reunions after roots because they realized the importance of family history and keeping connected with who is your relative. And so that's that's also a part of what we realize is affecting our economy when we don't know our relatives. Like you said, when we don't know the properties that we have, someone dies, they don't tell people where to find insurance
Right,
policies, or insurance policies don't get paid because no one knew they were there.
right.
When we have these family gatherings, we gotta have a part of it that's a business meeting. And even when you mention
Yes.
sickness, that affects the family. You got to figure out who's going to take care of the sick person. Are they going to be sent to some nursing home? Is the nursing home going to then eat up all of their savings?
It
We have
will.
you have to do a fundraiser within the family to raise funds to bury them. So all of these financial things a family has to deal with, and our family reunions have to look at all of these things: who's well, who's sick, who who needs money, who's trying to get through school, and really be cooperative structures so that we can be more financially supportive of each other.
of
A
each
lot of times
other.
we'll talk about somebody, oh yeah, he's broke again, he's out of a job again. Oh, what is she doing? Oh, she divorced again. Oh, what is she got all them babies? We'll do that, but is that helpful? A family should be a support network. And
Hmm.
part of the reason why we're having the difficulties that we're having with youth crime and violence,
Yes,
they don't have a network of support. They don't have a
yes,
family support system. When things happen, they get kicked out of house, get kicked out of school, get kicked out of life. What are
yeah.
you supposed to do to survive? And you don't have people that will look out for you, and you don't even know your relatives. I mean, it starts out when you don't know your father. It's tomorrow's Father's Day. How many people don't even know their
Know
father?
their father.
And that's a whole
Right.
side of the family that you don't know, that you're not
Or
connected
don't
to.
interact with their father because other family
Or
members
don't
felt as
interact,
though they weren't
or don't
honorable
interact.
enough.
Yeah. So that's a whole family that you don't even have connection to, that could be supportive or helpful, beneficial. But a divorce or something happens, and oh, I don't want you to talk to them anymore. That's not helpful. So we
No.
have a lot of work to do, because the enslavement experience, it disrupted a lot of our family structure. You had a lot of people after Juneteenth, when they were able to leave the plantations and everything, they went looking for their families. And we had a couple of
We have
generations.
trust issues.
Yeah, we have trust issues.
We have
A lot,
trust issues.
really do.
Genetic,
Because we've been betrayed a lot.
genetic, generations, not genetic, generations. We
Yeah,
have trust issues
yeah.
because
I mean,
all nationalities have those some of those same challenges. I don't want you talking to this person because they did that, but then they still have a village
yeah,
that will look out for them. I traveled internationally here this recently, and coming through the international airport, you see all of these folks, these international folks, how they come in droves. There was one group, they had 4 vans from Wisconsin to come
wow,
and pick up their family from the airport. And it wasn't just 4 vans worth of people that have traveled into the country. It was just that many people that came to meet and greet them, and then went back and they collected. So it is, they have a better village structure, because I guess because how they traveled, they weren't enslaved in the beginning. So now our generations have not been able to, cut that type of mentality yet. And
mm,
that's what we have to work on. We have to cut that non-trust and non-village mentality. We
right,
we can only survive. We can only get further if we have that village.
right. The sunlight won't let me see the switchboard on my other device, but I want to just do a
Oh,
sound. Is there somebody on we can open their mic and just make sure they can hear us? Okay.
well, let's see. Well, let's see. Let's open this person's mic. 111 111. Your mic is open. Would you like to share your experience? Can you hear us?
Check your
Please
mute.
introduce yourself. Okay, you're in a car, you're in a vehicle. Let's let's try another. I'm gonna put that person back on mute. Okay, area code 334-845. Area code 334-845. Please introduce yourself. Are you there? Can you hear us?
Oh, thank you for joining.
Thank you so much. And also, you who bring forth beautiful wisdom and knowledge this morning. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, thank you so much. All right. We want to make sure everybody can hear okay. Well, all righty then.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you for all your kind words.
Sorry, I
Yes.
just wanted to give a little commentary that's on the commentary that's already started.
All right, go right ahead. Go right ahead. Yeah. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, the conversation thus far has been very stimulating, and on the dynamics of the problem, we analyze and discuss to the nth degree. The boy did it, Carter G. Woodson did it for us, the boy said. So therefore, we've analyzed the issues and the dynamics of why and what causes psychological trauma. But then, as my sister said, I can't help get that, I'm sorry.
Deborah.
Air, and then look at them, even other folks have been suffering those same things. Other tribes have suffered those same traumas. So I mean, and some even worse. But as a community and village, somehow it's kind of like that. I always attribute it to ants. You knock it down on little ants, first thing they start doing is rebuild. You knock it down again, and they start rebuilding. And for some reason, all the negative dynamics, like the children and the rest of it, we keep repeating those. And a lot of things going on, and I keep asking the question too, of why all the negative behaviors are being repeated. And yes, people always say we're absent, not choice in that. But thank you for calling me blessing in the world. But and the first thing they do is they blame it on the father. No, but that dynamic is all over the culture, all over the world. It's because there's a shortage of men because of men die and do dumb and crazy things. I think it's that's not because you don't see the female brain on the female right at each other saying, "Oh, you knocked me down that time. Let's do it again." So the things that we just in wars and all those things. So that's me. So therefore, and which goes along with all goes into that negative dynamic too of them being absent because it should be, in a utopian world, it would be there and they would be there to impart their knowledge into the relationship, into the community as a whole. But for some reason, the black guys, if I can put it that way, feel and the negatives seem to be resounding more loudly and being repeated more loudly than the positive attributes that Naima so eloquently has displayed as an example of in all of her diatribe and with that said, I'll continue listening and wish you a blessed one. Very happy.
Well, happy Father's Day to you too, and thank you so very much for those words. And I certainly hope that someone,
Oh, no.
Deborah,
Yeah. Yes. And thank you so much for those words and happy Father's Day to you. She was saying yes.
yeah. So we have let's have one more. Let's see. 443-224. I've opened up your mic, even though you didn't ask. So, if you would like to,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay, I had to close. I'm in the car, and I got a lot of background noise here, so
oh, that's okay.
I'm burning up as I'm talking.
We won't keep it too long. We don't want you to burn.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you all said, especially about the deeds and the birth certificates and documents at family reunions. That we need to talk about family issues at family reunions. We need to talk about health issues as well. We have a health epidemic, not just COVID. I'm talking about high blood pressure and sugar and various things. Various elements. We need to eat healthier. We need to eat more home, vegetables and fruits and stuff like that of the earth. And so there are a lot of things that we can talk about at family reunions, and we should rehearse them. We should discuss them. Someone mentioned about business opportunities. We should be talking about how we could run family businesses, or how my business could support your business, and so forth. So I really agree with the comment about family reunions. On the issue of family structure, I believe that we need to esteem each other more. Create a culture of love. Create cultures of love around us. There's a lot. We will discuss negativity, and that being the source that kind of hinders us from going forward. So I think we need to create cultures of positivity and love in the same environment. For example, I like to encourage, even if I don't know you and I'm walking down the street, I want to encourage you. I said Happy Father's Day, to a man that was working in the Home Depot, and I didn't know him. But I want to give love to him and his family and his children. I want to esteem him as a man, esteem his children, his beautiful children. Just random acts of kindness like that to change the atmosphere. Because, pundits and politicians and the like, they have a way of just making the environment negative, or sounding as if it's negative with all the shootings and all the killings. But we need to change the atmosphere. So I'm just going to
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so very much for that.
Oh, and I so much agree. Yes, thank you so much. Well, we got to take our last break. And, he touched on a lot of things about how we can change the atmosphere. And I think that's our challenge right now. How do we change the atmosphere? How do we take the look back at what happened after we finally, as a people, got freed? What did we do with the time in those generations? Just like the young man from the Omega Psi organization started in 1911. Obviously, we went to work, and we got busy building institutions, and we built, Black Wall Street and all of that. So we really did a lot. But then something happened to put us back in this situation where we're struggling with violence and drug addiction and crime. But we came out the gate running. We really did. And then something happened.
It slipped back.
How do we change the atmosphere? And that's the
Yeah.
question. How do we change the atmosphere? So we'll go to, matter of fact, let me play one from off the screen. Let me play one commercial from here. Let me play this one, and then we'll
On Air News Network.
Yes. Well, let me see. Let me play one of this one, and we bring back.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl. And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, We're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms.
All right. Yes.
Okay, so do you want to do the on air everywhere with the visual?
I don't think I have the visual on my screen
Okay.
here. I'm on my pad.
No
So
worries. I'll just do it. Hold on.
you can do the audio of all the hosts.
Hi, I'm Naima,
There we go.
executive producer of the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. We are a part of the online network of Associated Internet Radio hosts, On Air. On Air empowers you with transformative news and interactive radio TV shows. This is such a wonderful time to be alive and to see our human family coming together as one community as a result of that powerful tool, the internet. We can now talk directly to each other all over the world. There's no need for conflict or misunderstanding. There's no need for violence to solve our differences. We can talk to each other face to face until we reach an agreement. On Air offers a fantastic global guide to communicators from all over the world who are using their internet platform to inspire us to strive to be our best selves in order to become the kind, compassionate, loving people we were all born to be. Once we do that, we'll see planet Earth transformed into a place of peace. Subscribe to the recommended YouTube channel, Facebook pages, and podcasts created by these Voices of Enlightenment. On Air provides daily news briefs and a weekly magazine to keep you abreast of events and opportunities. On Air news affiliates in television, radio, and print share information, insights, and interviews with notable personalities. Go to onaireverywhere.com for a daily dose of uplifting news. We're on air everywhere, online all the time.
All right.
All right. So I tell you, Naima, this is our roundabout hour or 30 minutes. And it has really been enlightening as to the message that we've received and the one that we're trying to inspire others to understand and to spew out to the world, to the universe.
You out to the universe. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
our
I think,
universe is vast, and
yes,
there are
it is.
so many folks who are in it that need to know of a new way, a different way. The history is good. We have to know the history, but that does not have to be our future. Our
Yes.
future has to be better than the history that we've had. We've got the history. Let us not repeat our history. Let us move forward. Let us learn from our history. So when we get together, whether it be a family reunion or a class reunion or girlfriends, you don't trust your family, there's got to be somewhere in your village, in your circle that you trust, that you share, and that you come together. And even if it's just to do your living wills, you ladies or the guys get around after the game, they're shooting the breeze, talking about the game. Talk about those living wills. Talk
Yes.
about those medical directives. You don't want to wait. It's like having car insurance. You got it, but you don't want to have to use it.
Yeah.
Life insurance. There are so many different life insurance. So many people die from accidents. Accidental death and dismemberment insurance is not as expensive as life insurance, like general life insurance. So have something when your credit card sends you some information about insurance. Take them up on it. If you have AAA provides, you can get life insurance, or it's accidental death and dismemberment, but it is something that's $20 a month.
Yeah.
You can't go to McDonald's and spend under $20, even with the sale. So that's a month. Where is your value? you know, Sidestep that that event that you were going to do. I look at these different events in travel. I look how much travel is. I look at how much fuel is. We are still on the road, even though we complain about how much the fuel is. There's still traffic jam,
Yeah.
so we still spending that money.
Still
You
spending. Still.
know,
I mean,
you
you know,
we
life is to be enjoyed, uh, but it has to be enjoyed strategically. Like you say, people, as expensive as gas is, people are still on the road and they're still traveling and they're still doing family reunions. They're still doing it.
and they're still
But
going to concerts. Have you been to a
they're going to
concert lately?
concert.
A
Yeah,
hundred and
yeah.
some dollars plus for a
Well, I think the last
concert.
concert was outdoors, so I didn't pay anything. It was free. But you know, and this is the summertime. I mean, summertime in Chicago, all the festivals and everything, neighborhood festivals, downtown festivals. We should be enjoying life, but like you say, you have to plan for what is eventual. Now, we don't like
Yes,
accident insurance for your car, but you get it just in case.
right.
Life insurance, it's not a just in case you die. You're going to exit here. I mean,
You're
that's a
gonna
given. That's
die.
not, well, if I die. No, it's not a if, it's a when. The only difference is you don't know when, but you do know that it is going to happen. So,
It's going to
just
happen.
plan for how you're going to handle your remains, plan for how other people are going to handle, hospitalization, your remains, whatever. But plan for what you know is going to happen. I mean, that's one of the things that families do, which is why you need to have a family. I mean, we've known people that did not make arrangements, and no one knew what was going to happen to the body, and maybe it stayed somewhere a long time, because yeah, people don't like to talk about it and don't like to think about it. But if you don't,
But
then you
it's
leave that burden
inevitable.
to somebody else. That you're creating more grief because they're going to be angry at you. In addition to grieving your loss, because you've made it harder to figure out what to do with this shell that you're not in anymore. You got to put it
Right,
somewhere, and it costs money.
right.
So plan for those things. That's a part of being a responsible family member. And like you were saying earlier, and people are sick, you know, if someone has a terminal illness, you have to talk about it, even though it might make you sad, but don't make it painful because nobody wants to
Yeah,
deal with it until it happens and then everybody's all upset or everybody's fighting over their stuff. Just,
right. And if you don't want to do it at home, do it when you go away. I
yeah,
before the change went into effect, I went out of the country uh just last week, and before when I left, there was a directive that I had to take a COVID test to come home and be COVID
Mm.
free. But
Mm-hmm.
thank goodness, on the day that I returned, the law was canceled. Okay. So now we
Mm.
don't have to take a COVID test, but I did spend that money because we weren't sure at first. So
Yeah.
anyway, I did not think of what if I did contract COVID? What if I went over there with COVID? And what if I did contract COVID and I couldn't get back into the United States? Now I've got to have some
Some
place to
more,
live while I'm in quarantine. That's not
at least
free.
2 weeks. Yeah,
So
it's
you
not
you have to plan for it, and that's something that we weren't talking about. Planning
yeah,
for that.
right.
As a
When you go
travel
abroad and
advisor,
get
of
sick.
course, we talk about insurance, and insurance that I talk about would have covered reimbursement and some type of support for that. But in general, we did not talk about what if. So
Right.
if you don't want to talk about those living wheels at home because your day is so chaotic with everyday life, then take that documentation with you somewhere else and have it
Yes.
notarized when you get home.
Yes. That
When
that
you're
is
in a
critical.
relaxed state,
That is
you know,
critical.
take
Well,
it
you know
with
one
you.
thing. A lot of times people don't think about the fact that every country is different. Like you say, you got different rules. We're used to, something happens, we'll be hauled up in an ambulance to an emergency room, call 911, they'll come get us. Everybody don't have 911. Everybody don't have
They
free
don't.
ambulance service. Everybody doesn't have an
They
emergency room
don't.
to take care of you.
And they,
And
and in most third world countries, they are so poor that they want
ain't
you
no
to be able to
911.
pay
Yeah,
before you go in.
before you
You
go. And if you don't have it,
before you
I
go,
guess you
you
just
got
don't
to,
die.
or either you I don't know. We don't understand. If you don't have that dinero, they
Yeah,
not taking you in. They don't have the directive.
right.
One way or another, we gonna save you.
Right. It's not a humanitarian command where we must save this life and we'll find out if they have money later. No, it's like, do you have money? Oh, okay, we'll save you. Do you have money? No. Oh,
Yeah.
well, sorry.
Well,
When you get money,
I
to
don't know
go.
what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to go down to the bushwhack place
Yeah, something.
and
So
see
I
what
mean,
they can help you.
but we need to know these things though. Not everybody is set up to take care of you if you don't have funds, and not everybody is set up to accommodate you if you don't have other people. And I mean, I admire people who they travel and they might travel alone. I mean, my daughter, she's fearless. She's going to all these different countries, and I'm always panicking. Okay, but something happens. Something happens. Can I go and see her? Can I go and bring her back? And she's been blessed. Not had any. Well, she did have one accident. I think she was in China. She fell and a bracelet she was wearing cut her wrist, and they had to rush her to the hospital. But interesting enough, it only cost $40 for them to stitch her up. I'm thinking, okay, that wouldn't have happened in
Wow.
America. Probably been paying $1,000 just to get there. But
Hmm.
hospital costs are very inexpensive. So I'm grateful. And plus, she was there, I think, for my niece's wedding, so she had people that could help her. But sometimes you might get injured and you don't have people, you don't have a place, you don't have money, and you're really out of
You
luck.
don't
So
know. Right.
yeah. And if you're
You're
somewhere
at
where
the
they don't
mercy
not
of whoever.
English, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
you're
important to
definitely at
plan.
their mercy.
You might be someplace where people the English is not their first language, or the people who stop to help you, maybe their language is not English. That happened to me before. I tried to help a guy. I felt really bad. He spoke Spanish. I didn't know enough Spanish to actually help him. He had been in a car accident. So I called 911 and I told the ambulance, I told them that, this person speaks Spanish, so you need to send a Spanish driver, which they did. So I'm grateful for that. But, I kind of felt bad because I didn't know enough Spanish to, remember all the body parts and ask what hurt. I felt, okay, I got to study more. I should know how to ask him something. But, it can happen. You can go someplace and
It
be in
can
an
happen.
accident. Person tried to help you, they don't speak your language, they can't help you, so
Right.
just be prepared.
They don't know your it's your inside of your stomach and not the outside. or it's the top of your stomach, not the bottom.
Right.
You know, they,
So
they don't
yeah,
know.
they
So
don't
there
know.
there are some universal languages that you can adjust to, and you need to kind of know. There's translation apps. Everybody's into apps now, so
Yeah,
they
have
do
it
have some
on.
translation apps, but that's still associated with the interpreter.
Yeah, that's not
You can
foolproof
ask
because
for a
it's, you know,
band-aid and they give you an eye patch. I don't know.
yeah, it could have. Those things happen. But you know, this is all a part of us learning, uh, learning each other when we're as we're traveling abroad, because now the travel is made possible again, and you can be in another country in a matter of hours. The more we interact, the more we realize we have to expand our knowledge, our understanding, our language skills, our communication skills, even our sign language skills. We have
Yes,
to be prepared financially for emergencies because they can happen at any place. And we have to be prepared for if we pass away overseas. It's not pleasant, but what happens if you should pass away, get into an accident, and your family has to bring your body back? I mean, your life insurance
you
policy should address that. You know, make it possible. Matter of fact, I'm working with a company now that makes it possible for people. You know, if they need to, it's because a lot of people who are immigrated from, say, Latin American countries and things like that, and they, you know, people want to either be buried at home or they want their family members to come here. So you have to have ways of being able to do that, and you have to, you know, buy the insurance that prepares for the inevitable, because it is inevitable, and
right,
that's a lot
and
families
the,
should do when they
people have to
get.
know what you
Yeah, tell your family members,
be.
tell all of them, because you don't know who's gonna succeed you. You know, tell all of them where your papers are. Where's your insurance papers? Tell them where all your documents are. Tell them where your, you know, uh,
Your password.
their password. Yeah, tell them your passwords to your computer. Somebody else should be on your bank account so that your money's not frozen and the bank won't give it to anybody, even though you need them to have it to take care of you. Tell people your stuff. You know, we, like you said, we have trust issues. I don't want nobody knowing my business. Okay, you pass away. Nobody can get into your bank. Nobody can get into your computer. Nobody can get into your house. Nobody has keys to your house. Nobody has keys to your car. Nobody has any. So nobody can help you with your stuff because you didn't trust anybody. I've seen
Right.
people go through that, and it's really a mess because
Yeah.
what families got to go through to produce documentation, first of all, that you have passed away, and then second of all, documentation that they're related to you, and third of all, documentation that they have the authority to act on your behalf. It's hard to
Yeah.
do when you're gone. So
Right.
do all
Now,
that stuff
trust
before
issues are valid, and there are
you go.
fail.
Yeah,
There are security measures that you can put in place to cover for those trust issues. You just have to do a little more research. You just have to do a little more digging. You may have to pay a third party person, but you gotta let it be known. You got
yeah,
to. So when you're meeting together for those family reunions, I can't stress enough. The parties are good, but when you have that family meeting, let it be purposeful.
yes.
And you don't have to do everything at one time. You know,
Yeah.
do it in stages. You know, with the marvel of Zoom, you
Yeah.
can meet in stages now.
You know, and
Yeah,
that's really what I would advocate a lot of times, because I know in the past couple of years with COVID, a lot of families couldn't get together. I think my family, we did November, we did Thanksgiving Zoom, we did Christmas Zoom. Yeah, so we were able to do that because a lot of people still didn't feel comfortable traveling, and then my family is all over the world, literally. So you know, we got folks in China, Australia, you know, all that, and so we were able to still gather for the holidays and we didn't have to pay that exorbitant airfare at the time, which is, I mean, sometimes you do want to gather, but it was nice to be able to gather and nobody had to pay any money. So sometimes if you need to have a family meeting, if you don't want to do it during the party time. Okay, then have it on Zoom. But you
Mhm.
know, have
Have
those
it.
and include everybody who needs to know the important thing. And you mentioned the trust issues. Sometimes you need to get a family lawyer, a trustworthy one, not one that's trying to figure out how they can keep you all fighting so they can get all your money, but uh, one who you can trust to, you know, whether it's, you know, making sure that they fill out power of attorney forms or healthcare power of attorney forms, you know, so that there's some documents that give people uh, authority to do things. If you've got minor children, you know, who would get custody, because sometimes
Who's
that
gonna
can,
take care of it?
when you have, when you have children, see, you know, hey, God forbid you're on a plane that crashes, okay, your children are staying with Aunt Minnie. Well, does Aunt Minnie have authority to adopt them, or will she have to go through the well, hi there.
What's up? Hey, everybody.
Well, this is Attorney Richard working here. Have a seat here. Minutes
What's
of our
happening,
show.
everybody?
Yes, so we are live all around the world. Moving around with Deborah. She's our travel
Hi. Are
Saturday.
you ready?
I'm
Global
doing good.
issues.
We got 10 days to go.
10 days
Every,
ago.
But we're
everything.
celebrating freedom right now. We're
Right.
celebrating liberation.
Yes.
But
Yes.
we got to get everybody free.
Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
And voting is the
Look,
number.
I got my ballot. I ain't want no mistakes. I got my ballot.
Need to do to get board president.
Don't wait too late.
And
Get it in right away.
early voting is
Yes,
going on as well.
right now.
So you don't have to wait until the election day. You can get out and vote right now.
Never
And
wait.
make your vote.
Never wait.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love what
They
you're
made
doing.
it
Keep up the
possible
good
for us
work.
to vote early and often. Don't vote often, but vote early.
Early and often. That's Chicago way, right? No.
Yeah, don't vote often. No, 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 no.
But do vote early. Yes.
Do vote early and make sure you go out on election day on June 28th if you have not voted early.
Absolutely.
Thank
Yes.
you, and you know what to do. Punch 102. A vote for Richard Boykin is a vote for safe streets, safe neighborhoods. It is a vote for affordable housing. It's a vote for an affordable Cook County, one in which we got a fair tax system, property taxes, gas tax, food tax, a sales tax. If you want fairness, punch 102. Push.
102.
All right.
Jesse Jackson.
There you go.
Go push.
Well, thank you so much. See, when you're running for office, you always got to be ready. You got to have that spiel on your tongue. He's a good one.
That was a joy. Yeah, and
Yes.
don't forget Wendy Williams.
Yes. You know, yes, definitely. Our dear sister, attorney Wendy Williams, running for judge. And, you know, she has been such a wonderful source of wisdom, trying to keep us out of the legal system if possible, especially when it comes
Yes.
to family court. And, you know, we're talking about families. When you can't
Yes.
agree and you got to go to court, it's going to cost you some money. So it's best to keep those family relationships pleasant and peaceful so you don't end up before a judge who has to make decisions on who gets to keep the house, who gets to keep the children, who gets to keep the dog, you know, all of that. So yes, Attorney Wendy Williams,
that's very
Cook County
important.
judge.
Yeah.
I believe her punch number is 176. So look out for her. Wendy Williams. Yes. So, you know, we've met some really wonderful people that are running for office. And what makes me happy is the fact that even though in this nation we've done some ugly things to each other in the name of economics, yeah, you know, we are, you know, still hurt by that whole slave experience, but we have been able to recover tremendously. We got to look at what was just said, change the atmosphere. We have to change it from one of oh, woe is me, we're such victims, they did us wrong, to look at the triumph, look at
Yes,
what we've won, look at what we've achieved, look at how we've
yes,
inspired people around the world, look at how
yes,
we're continuing to thrive, look at all these wonderful people running for office and achieving positions of leadership and changing laws, and look at how we're really evolving into a great nation where we really are living up to that creed that we put on paper, that even the people who put it on there weren't quite living it, but it was visionary,
but
because now we're manifesting it. We're actually
that's
manifesting
right.
words. So yes, let's be joyful
Yeah.
that
If you
we have
got
power
lemons,
to change things,
you
and
got
we're doing
lemons, you make lemonade. If the
it.
lemonade is still tart, put a little brown sugar in it.
There you go, or some honey if you got it. But we can turn these lemons into some sweet lemonade. Yes, we can.
Yes. Make it work for you. Twist it
Absolutely,
around and make it work for you. Positivity.
absolutely. Make it
Positivity. We got
positive.
to have positivity and joy, smiles, laughter,
Yes,
excitement. It'll
yes,
heal us. It'll throw out some of that sickness.
that's
We
it.
already learning how to eat healthier. Let's breathe healthier. Let's encompass
Yeah,
healthy in our
and laugh.
whole being
Yes, and laugh
so we
more.
can be
Laughter heals the
success.
body
Yes,
and live
indeed.
in
Well,
joy.
it's been a pleasure. I thank you so much for sitting out there in that sun in front of that historical building as
Yes,
we travel that museum, that
yes.
edifice that has been in our culture for years.
Right.
Thank
50th
you.
and Drexel. Yes, I'm out here getting the suntan. I done got 3 different shades of black since I've been out here. So good thing black is beautiful, because
Yeah,
I sure do have it
that's
today.
right. Yeah. And we'll look forward to those three moms tomorrow,
Yes, yes.
sharing their wisdom
Yeah, we want you all to
in the
join us.
world.
We're going to be live at 5 on Three Black Moms, Facebook and YouTube, talking about the transgender issue. And we'll talk to a mother who has a son who
Hmm.
is transgender. How does it feel when
Okay.
your child decides to change the sex they were born with?
Yeah.
How do you handle that? It's a
How do
big
you cope with
emotion.
that? How do you
It's
encompass that? That's still your baby.
still your
That's
baby.
still your baby.
Right. I guess you can hit
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that closing now. And
Okay. Love you.
thank you all. See you tomorrow for Three Black Moms, and then tune on in right back here for the Female Solution with Soul Purpose Healing with Viata. We'll see you then.
We've come to the end of our show today, but you can hear every show in the archive at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. You can also hear today's show on the Female Solution Facebook page. Go to www.facebook.com/the-female-solution. Leave your comments about today's show. You can always reach me on my website at www.naimalatif.com. That's www.naimalatif.com. Watch our TV shows, listen to our radio shows, order our books, and be sure to get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussion. And to our global family listening from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, Sheshe, India, Zanyama, Japan, Arigato, Korea, Kamsahamnida, Russia, Spasiba, Germany, Danke, Poland, Yunkunyum, France, Yeltsin, Spain, Gracias, Italy, Grazie, Egypt, Shukran, Ghana, Medasi, Nigeria, Congo, Senegal, Geret, Kenya, Asante, Israel, Toda, Pakistan, Shukriya, Afghanistan, Tashakur, Saudi Arabia, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you. And may peace be upon you and the mercy of God.